Yes, you can have our attention.
Welcome to the Save the Berkeley Public Library Books Rally. It's going to lead into the Board of Library Trustees special meeting on the Library Director's personnel evaluation. We've been meeting like this for weeks about rampant reading, talking about how the Berkeley Public Library has been a destination library, but now has become, because of waste, fraud, abuse, and illegal behavior by the library director, now become a decimated library. Tonight, we're gathering to tell the Board of Library Trustees, the director's boss, tell them our opinions and statements about what we think of the library director's job performance and what we think the Board of Library Trustees should do about that. There are some housekeeping details and some other suggestions we've got to talk about tonight's special meeting, but before entering into that level, we want to stop and take another moment, as is our routine now, to consider the elevated levels that music can take us to. Because we're here to be critical, but not to be mean-spirited. And tonight, the music we're considering is that indigenous, creative, American art form called jazz. It's my pleasure to introduce to you my two brothers, my two older brothers. On trumpet, who has worked with the Manhattans, Dakota State, and Nestor Phillips, and more people than you want to really know about, George Jazzbo Spencer from And on the bass, the mighty upright bass is not only an illustrious musician whose career has included working with Al Jada and appearing on the iconic recording Soul Sauce. This gentleman is in fact a former Berkeley Public Library worker. So we know what we're talking about. Mr. Terry Hilliard. Yay! We're going to take it somewhere else now. Thanks for your attention. Go for it. Whatever you're doing. fit.
Yeah.
Mr. Terry Hilliard on the upright case. So just a couple of minutes, if you would. The housekeeping that we're thinking about for right now is, if you want to kind of follow along on the back of your sign, here we are gathering and chatting and listening. After the library closes at 6 o'clock, we're going to go up to the third, and they'll let us back in for the meeting. And we'll be going up to the third floor meeting room where the trustees will meet. At 6:15, the normal procedure for the trustees is that anybody who wants to speak in the public comment session, which is going to start up their meeting, fills in a little speaker's card. You just put your name that you're interested to speak, and that usually gives you 3 minutes of time to address the vote. If you do not want to speak, we request that you still fill in a card so that you can share your time with somebody else who might want to go off with your book. You really got to fill out a card before 6:30 to be considered to speak at the public comment section. So when you get up there, we'll help you figure out where the cards are and how to fill them in and where they go. Try and wrap that up at least by 6:30. But would you also please note what it says on your page? The bold agenda that they publish states that the public comments are going to be limited only on the topic at hand, which tonight is only the library director's personnel evaluation. So when you get up there and start your talk, we suggest that you preface it with the concept. I have a statement to make about the library director's performance evaluation, and then going through the rest of your spiel, which may include some examples about books, or reading, or whatever else is on your mind, because we are here for free speech. But if you just try and stay on topic so Bolt doesn't have the excuse to throw you off the speaker stand. There's plenty to say about books, and plenty to say about reading, and fortunately or not, we will be back on September the 9th when there's another Board of Library Trustees meeting, the regular one, where there's going to be a presentation by one of the staff working, maybe the library director, maybe someone else, we don't know, and supposedly a presentation by the ad hoc group that might offer some other ideas. But that's September 9th, we'd like to see you back together. At 6:30, public comment should begin. We think we got a pretty good number here, so that we think everybody should be able to speak who wants to. The folks running the meeting on the Bolt may think differently. They might want to restrict it to 20 people to speak. Everybody can speak, but only for 1 minute. We don't know how that's going to work. We request that you kind of share your time, and there's a handful of people, a good handful of people from the staff that have identified themselves to come out and talk. So we'd like to get them up front of the hour and let them say what they got to say. The ad hoc group would like a couple of minutes to present the 1,000 names that were signed on the Move On petition. And after public comment, the public will somehow disperse or hang out or something as the Bolt goes into their special session. We are not allowed. And they have announced that after their special session is over, and we don't know what time that is, they'll come back and make a statement to the public. Anybody got any questions about any of that? You're all so good. You got another one in you? You got another one in you?
You have to be there at
yes, I think so. But see how it goes. Try this. One more tune we think is coming up from Mr. Terry Hilliard. Mr. Jackson.
have a flyer? Yeah. Can I have a flyer before you close that out? Thanks.
Sign on the back?
I'm sorry?
Sure. Sign, sure. It's not a very good one. I'll give you
Although my home will always be SoCal, I am proud to call my home away from home. That said, disgraceful behavior which the Berkeley Public Library director situation shames me and I say, this is not supposed to happen in Berkeley. This city is the forerunner of reason, justice, peace, and equity in America today and in the past. What side of history will we be on if this meeting is not halted and investigated immediately?
Thank you. Thank you for those comments. comment. And somebody from the crowd here, Danny's got a word.
Hi, sorry, I don't mean to. I just wanted to say, you know, I just came into this. I just learned about this. I didn't know this was going on. I actually don't know a whole lot about. I haven't confirmed what everyone's been saying for myself, which would be the wise thing to do. But I can say this: if this is indeed what's going on, then he can't have my books. He can't have them. You know what I'm saying? Like these are unique titles. We can't let these things slip through our fingers. Original manuscripts is what I'm hearing.
At least last copy.
Last copies, yeah, exactly. These are precious.
Come on up with it. You got somebody else, Mr. Worthington, City Council member. Say you want to say something? You got a couple minutes.
I actually don't want to say anything at all.
Okay. And
It would be irresponsible of me to close my eyes and pretend that something wrong was not happening. When I heard about this, for 6 weeks, I waited to get answers before I did anything. No answers were forthcoming. And then I sent emails requesting information which is legally supposed to be provided to any member of the public within 10 days. Up until today, I still haven't gotten those answers. And it's now like a month and a half days. So the most powerful minute to me was when he said, the library director said he didn't know how many books had left the library. And so I said, well, I've looked at these computer systems a little bit. Can I meet with you and we can look on your computer and see if maybe the numbers are hidden in your computer screen? And we pushed 4 buttons, and like magic, the number of deleted books for the entire history of the library since the computers were implemented like 10 years ago, all showed up on his screen. And it showed up 39,000 items were deleted this year. 2 weeks later, the newspapers are still saying the library director says 2,000 books. Something is wrong with this picture. And as I said before, what did he know and when did he know? And why has the public still not been given the detailed information? I think it's really important to be strong and powerful in speaking to the library board, but it's also extremely important to be respectful. Always ready for it. And the library board has taken time out of their busy lives in the middle of summer. Everybody goes on summer vacation, and they're taking time out of their lives at a special meeting to listen to you. So the library board deserves respect for the fact that they called a special meeting. The fact that the special meeting is to talk about an evaluation of the library director's performance. If they were going to give him the Librarian of the Year award, they would probably not call the special meeting to talk about a performance evaluation. So I think they've started to get the message, and tonight, hopefully, they will get the rest of the message from all of you. So thank you, each and every one of you, for being here. Thank you.
start, of course, as we do all meetings, with public comment. This is a special meeting, and so therefore public comment needs to relate to our items on the agenda, which I think everyone should know about. Since we have such a large crowd tonight, and I just wanted to take a poll. We have a number of speaker cards filled out already. If you would like to make a has everyone had a chance who would like to make a comment, filled out a card? Okay, if you have not yet filled out a card, this would be a great time to do it. So if you could please do that. And what our procedure will be this evening is we will have, because we have, we will have, the public comment will begin, and each speaker is allotted 1 minute to speak. And speakers may cede their time to another speaker, up to 3 people ceding time to someone else. So any one speaker may speak up to 4 minutes. So hopefully that's clear, and that's how we will proceed this evening. So without further ado, where are our speaker cards?
I have them.
Okay, thank you.
So I can call them.
Sure, that sounds great. Thank you.
So I want to show you the tiny.
Please use the microphone.
Yes.
1 minute for how many speakers?
As many as we have.
We have about 65 or so here. So the timer will be set for 1 minute.
Will get to speak.
At 30 seconds, it'll give you a beep to give you a warning that you have 30 seconds left. And then at 0, it'll give another beep to tell you your time's over. I'm going to show you an example of it using 35 seconds.
And then, yeah, and since I know we have at least one public official, Chris Worthington, in the audience. I might have missed if someone else is, but I thought perhaps Chris could start off the public comment as an elected official. Chris, why don't we start with you? And you can stand wherever you want. If you'd like to stand at the microphone, it might make sense.
Yeah, someone else can see.
Or we've got a roaming one as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me get this.
Let's get the timer set. You want 1 minute?
Sure.
Oh, that's
Wow, that was a quick minute.
Just do it without it, Mike.
Sorry about that.
So first I want.
1 second.
First,
Can you come up front?
Why don't we try this one?
So, first, I want to thank the library board members for taking time out of their busy lives. Who could be vacationing in Malibu right now, and they're sitting here So, is that better? So, okay, is that better?
Yes.
Great. So, being an elected official or even an appointed official is a challenging job, and in moments of crisis, it's an even more challenging job. So I think we really owe it to our library board to give them a resounding round of applause for taking time to be here tonight. And for many weeks, we heard at the city council meetings that there were problems, and we didn't get involved because we received emails telling us it's exaggerated, it's not a real problem, those numbers are wrong, and so we didn't speak up and stand up and speak up. And I thank everyone who's here tonight to speak up and everyone who has over the months, because now we know that the numbers we were told were wrong. This sad series of events
must be stopped and reversed.
Yeah.
The librarians who were mistreated need to have their jobs get their jobs back that they were hired to do, and they need to get an apology for being mistreated.
Yes.
The requests should be answered so the public actually finally gets the facts. And the whistleblower librarians should be commended and not condemned.
Yes.
And the final comment, and most important comment, is this crisis of confidence requires an independent investigation of what went wrong, what's going to be done about what wrong, and how are we going to prevent these mistakes from occurring again. So thank you very much.
Wendy Hyman?
I see my card is on board. Stand too close to the mic.
How's that?
Yeah.
Call out 5 names and then people can line up.
That's a good idea.
Good. Okay. I have a letter here which I've given to at least one board member, and I won't read you the whole thing, but I just want to let you know this is way more than weeding. This is also about racism. And this is about, at least one board member knows what I'm talking about. The director knows what I'm talking about. He chose not to do anything about it. So I want this board to be sure to read this letter and understand what's going on before you make a decision, before you say anything in public, any kind of support for it. Thank you.
Isabel Schneider?
I see my time to honor.
I'm gonna read 5 names. Isabel Schneider, Bob Beatty, representative of Superbold, Peter Warfield, Lisa Porter.
Good evening, everybody. I bring to you a letter signed by 35 members of the staff of the Berkeley Public Library. 22 staff members have signed with their names, and an additional 13 staff have chosen to sign anonymously. That means more than 37 of the staff who signed this letter are anonymous, showing the extent of fear of retaliation in our workplace. 37%. In my opinion, this is a reflection of the work atmosphere and the morale of the staff at the Berkeley Public Library. Here's the letter. Dear Berkeley Public Library Board of Library Trustees, on May 28, 2015, we presented a letter to you stating our view that the library director's plan to centralize the library's collection development duties would result in collections less relevant and less useful to the Berkeley Public Library, to the diverse population of Berkeley. On July 16, 2015, a representative group met with the director to discuss the challenges in developing such collections. The group presented a proposal which reflected its position on collection development. The director met informally with one librarian. She briefly outlined 2 plans that would streamline the process but would also maintain the quality and range of collections. So far, the director has not announced any changes or otherwise responded to staff concerns or proposals regarding collection development. For the record, since April 2015, library staff has not been involved in meaningful selection of library materials and has not substantially participated in weeding of nonfiction at the Central Library. Weeding of the fiction section of the Central Library was begun in November 2014 without staff participation. Due to lack of transparency, it remains unclear how many items have been deleted in what subjects and by what standards. We continue to believe that significant involvement of professional librarians in the collection development process, including selection and weeding, is in the best interests of our community.
I'm sorry. Is someone else ceding time?
I'll give a minute. Brian Lipson.
We believe that significant involvement of the professional librarians in the collection development process, including selection and weeding, is in the best interest of our community and in the continuance and maintenance of a robust and diverse collection. This is signed by 22 staff members and 13 anonymous staff. Thank you.
I have a representative of Super Bowl. Berkeleyans Organizing for Library Defense was our original name, and now it is Berkeleyans Organizing for Liberty Defense. And I want to point out that when I approached the library, I was told by a guard tonight that it is closed. Therefore, this is not an open meeting, and therefore, it violates the Brown Act. There are a lot of people here, but there may be many more who have tried to come in and been told the library is closed. Furthermore, when they opened the door, there was a ladder blocking it. I had to walk around this ladder. Somebody's working at the entrance to the library. I wish to cede the rest of my time to Peter Warfield. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Peter Warfield, also with Super Bowl. Many of the details about the rampant weeding, as it's been called by staff and retirees, will be explained and elucidated by those folks. But I think it's quite shocking that there have been so many stories and so many reasons given, including contradictory ones and factually incorrect ones, by folks, including the director, who should be knowledgeable and in control of what's going on. Now, one of the stories has been that we're using CREW. Well, CREW is an acronym, and it includes the acronym MUSTY. It sounds very scientific, but the criteria, when you look at them, including ugly, as a reason for discarding books, are just nonsense, not scientific, and subjective. In fact, a well-used book should, if anything, suggest that it's been well-loved or well-used, and not something that is a candidate for reading, but instead a strong candidate for repair or replacement. The rigid following of circulation rules is just rubbish. First of all, you don't get books in a library because of how popular they are expected to be. You get them for the quality and for the role in the collection's breadth and depth. So to toss them afterwards on the basis of circulation is just nonsense. Furthermore, there are many reasons why books don't circulate. They're big and heavy, or they're teen subjects that are sensitive and people don't want to take those books home. So to have a bullheaded mechanistic view of how to get rid of books based solely on circulation is basically just crap.
Call up 5 people, please.
Could you kindly call 5?
Been here all night. Saul Beatty, Margot, Gibry, G. Walsh, Nancy, Jendell, Carol Saudi.
And each, just one more thing, and each speaker gets 1 minute unless seated sometime.
My name is Lisa Porter, longtime Berkeley resident. I grew up in the Berkeley Public Libraries. I just have one brief comment. I feel like there's an agenda that's not being spoken about with this director, and I would like to invite him to resign his position And if he does not, I would invite the board to fire him. The public trust has been broken, and this man is not capable of restoring it. I see the rest of my time to Phyllis Olin. Thank you.
Speeding up.
Well, she had 30 seconds left.
Hi, my name is Phyllis Olin. Thank you, board, for having this. I sent you a letter on August 15th about my late husband's book, which has been in the Berkeley Public Library for many years, Escape from Utopia, and it's my 10 years in Synanon. I understand that books have to be culled. I understand that it's a trend across the country in libraries, but the Berkeley Library should be different. We should not be doing it. We shouldn't be doing this on this scale, especially local authors who are part of Berkeley history and represent a very important part of our culture. This should not be thrown away. It was done in a manner of not allowing the librarians who have the expertise to do it, and that was a mistake. I feel that a person who runs the library director is accountable to the public. My taxes go up every year, and I willingly pay them because the Berkeley Public, there's no public like the Berkeley Public as far as supporting our libraries. I know you'll all agree with that. So I really think a lot of care has to be given to this. This should be done in the right way. I was going to offer to give you this book to put back in circulation, but I don't feel very trusting at this point. So at some future point, maybe we can work out something.
That's an excellent book, by the way. That's a very good book.
Hi, my name is Bob Beatty. I was the maintenance director here head of maintenance here for 20 years. I'm also a Berkeley homeowner and taxpayer. I am also a member of the board of the Friends of the library, who donates $100,000 a year to various library programs. What I want to speak about is the fact that every year the programming committee, that's librarians, come to us and they say, for instance, I'd like to have a magician come for a performance. We fund that. Just this year we funded about, there was a $4,000 grant and a $5,000 grant that we gave them. And when they checked to see if that money was there, they were told that those things had not been funded. And indeed they had been. When they checked with us, we said, yeah, we approved that. And they were then told in a subsequent meeting by the finance director that those funds had been repurposed for something else. And, well, I'm done. Anyways, I just want to say that that's a serious charge, and I think it needs to be addressed immediately.
G. Walsh?
I see my time to Lucy Bledsoe.
Lucy?
Yes. Oh, right now? Go for it.
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. I really want to thank the board for listening to us. That's what democracy is all about, community showing up, leaders listening. So thank you very much for that. I've been a resident of Berkeley for over 30 years, a user of the Berkeley Public Library for that long of a time. I'm a curriculum writer and have written curriculum for the George Lucas Education Foundation, National Geographic, Simon & Schuster, George Lucas Education Fund, a lot of places that I've done most of my research in this library. I'm also a novelist, published a few novels and kids' books, and I've done research for that in this library. For all of my projects, both fiction and nonfiction, when I come to the library, say I have to write a chapter about the planet Jupiter for a textbook, I sit down and I spread all the books out. I do my research in the library. I put the books back on the shelf and I go home. I haven't checked them out. To have a policy that books are no good if they haven't been checked out makes no sense. This is Berkeley. This is a research library. As a fiction writer, I'm also a fiction reader. My favorite thing in the world is when someone says, have you seen such and such a novel? Have you read such and such a novel by so-and-so? I depend on the library to have those books. If I want to read a bestseller, I can go to the bookstore. If I want to read a book that's been around for the last 3 years, I can go to the bookstore. I depend on the library for the hard-to-find gems. The public library is a repository of culture. When it's a great library, which Berkeley has been for many years, it's a repository of diverse culture, not just popular mainstream culture. Which brings up another point about the director's lack of understanding about libraries. To take the collection development weeding out of the hands of a diverse group of librarians and put it into the hands of a tiny few means we lose that diversity. We lose that breadth. Jeff Scott has weeded nearly 40,000 books this year from our library, but has claimed publicly several times that it's only been about 2,200. I don't know whether that's... Thank you.
Okay.
I don't know whether that's his not knowing or if that's a falsehood. Either way, that is not good stewardship of our library. And I'm very sorry to say that I have to ask the board to please replace Jeff Scott with someone who will work to protect the library that we've loved and cherished for many years.
Margot Gibbery,
She's not here.
Nancy Jendell, Carol Saudi.
Pat.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to call up the next 5 names. Alicia Nelson, Teresa Albrecht,
I cede my time to Debbie Carter.
Carol Estevez, Alejandra Soto Vigil, Sarah Van Young, and Julie Silver.
Good evening. I'm Pat Mullen, former head librarian of the Art and Music Room at the Berkeley Public Library, where I worked for 25 good years. And I'm a Berkeley resident since 1977. I'm here to make a statement about the library director's performance evaluation. 1 week ago tonight, the ad hoc group that's been working to save the Berkeley Public Library books, we posted an online petition about the library director and his performance through moveon.org. We deliver this petition to you now so that it's part of the public record. In the past week alone, nearly 1,000 individuals have put themselves on record to say that we demand that the Board of Library Trustees of the Berkeley Public Library stop the destruction of Berkeley's library collection and conduct an immediate, independent investigation and suspend without pay or fire the library director. We protest the following. Number 1, the cover-up of over 39,000 books or items being disposed of, while the library director, Jeff Scott, claimed that it was only 2,200. Number 2, the library director's mistreatment and threats to library workers, creating a hostile workplace. Number 3, the library director's significant waste of public funds and irreparable destruction of public property. Number 4, the library director's inaccurate information repeatedly given to the public. Number 5, the library director's incomplete and illegal response to the California Public Record Act requests. Number 6, the library director's insults to former library directors, to members of the public and current and former city staff. And number 7, the library director's removal of experienced librarians from collection development responsibilities. Here are nearly 1,000 individuals who have added their names as well as additional comments written by the petitioners themselves. Thank you for studying it.
Okay.
Okay. Clerk, pass them up, sorry.
Get it too close.
We'll get.
There's one for just two, and another one for, you guys. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alicia Nelson. I'm a commissioner on the status of women, and I have been for over 5 years in the city of Berkeley underneath the leadership of Max Anderson. I suggest, I'm also an actress and professionally, and I suggest that we do bring Jeff here.
He's right here.
Oh, that's you? So he can kind of defend himself and say, why is he doing this? I don't know if electronics, computers are taking over our city or what's going on. But I think that we as the board and the people here should be able to communicate and do something about this problem solving. Instead, we do all this talking, and that's all fine and good, but we need to address this issue.
I'm going to yield.
I was going to see mine.
Thank you. That's fine.
I got four. Fantastic. I have a long statement and it's really important. Thank you very much. My name is Debbie Carton. I've been a librarian at Berkeley Public Library for 26 years. As a union steward, I have heard of multiple incidents of harassment and retaliation during Mr. Scott's tenure as director. The majority of these incidents occurred when a person of color has spoken up with a dissenting opinion. I have encouraged these members to make the situation known so there can be a proper investigation, a grievance filed, and correct action taken. No one felt comfortable doing so. Because of this, I am speaking to you today as a staff member, as a union steward, who has received retaliation myself and has not come forward in a public situation until now. I am speaking up here and now because this issue, like the issue of collection development mismanagement, relates directly to the personnel evaluation of the director. I completely understand why my coworkers have refused to come forward. Complaints about retaliation bring more retaliation. I am hopeful that speaking in this very public forum and with recent assurances from the Board of Trustees that there will be no retaliation will protect me from future and further retaliation and perhaps finally open the investigation that I have been requesting for months. With only 5 minutes, but thank you for those 5 minutes, I will limit myself to 2 instances. There are many more and not just from me. It is important that you know I have spoken in staff meetings and directly with the Collection Development Manager, Rachel McNeely, and with the Director about centralized collection development, a method that I feel is not necessary for Berkeley Public and is in fact detrimental to the creation and maintenance of a well-balanced and diverse collection. In mid-April, I received an email from the Collection Development Manager. It was CC'd to the library director. It said that I had not submitted any online orders for the team that orders books for the 500s, which is science. In fact, my colleague Tom Dufour and I had worked very hard to submit orders for that team well in advance of the deadline, orders totaling at least $4,000 and representing many hours of professional work. Tom and I believe the orders we worked on were deleted in an attempt to discredit us as not having done our work. Mr. Scott insisted that I had not submitted an order. He stated that I had no proof that the orders were deleted. I asked Mr. Scott directly to please investigate the order history, an action that I was no longer allowed to take since my passwords to the online ordering had been removed. Such an investigation would have clearly and decisively settled the issue. Mr. Scott never responded to my request for this investigation. The orders had to have been deleted by someone in the Collection Development Department because that is the only department with the necessary passwords. The willful destruction of the city's intellectual property is a criminal act. In mid-May,
I spoke with the director regarding the selection of classical CDs, and I made a case for my being allowed to select these materials for the library, as I have done for many years, based on my subject specialty knowledge. He stated that he had no problem with this, but that he would need to check with Rachel McNeely, Collection Development Manager. Rachel was at the time leading the 700s, books in the art and music department. And when I saw a book truck of 700s to be weeded, I asked, could I look at them and make recommendations? She told me that I could not look at the books. Shortly after this encounter, I received word from the director that I would not be ordering classical CDs for the collection. Now, I cannot speak with certainty about the motivation for these actions. That lies with the people responsible for them. What I can tell you is that as a union steward, thank you, as a union steward of color who has come forward and respectfully spoken against current policy and done my best to work with management, I have been the object of harassment and retaliation.
Debbie, we're going to have to stop. I think you have 4 minutes.
Okay.
People say that time.
That's the maximum, and
Supposed to be number one.
a total of 4.
I have given this information in a letter to the board members.
I sit on the rent board, also work in Councilman Worthington's office. Let's give it another round of applause for Debbie. You know, I wrote a speech down, and I think what's bothering me most is that the one person we're all here to talk to and ask questions about hasn't even looked up to the crowd, is writing notes, and I hope the notes are about things that need to be done better. You know, I think this is come up to a crisis point. I mean, all of us are here saying thousands and thousands of books have been disposed of. We don't even know where they've gone. You know, the Library Board of Trustees, generally, out of all the boards in the city, this is a very easy board to deal with. All the issues in terms of, compared to like all the community forums with affordable housing, etc. This right here is, you know, not a very easy task. And so I ask you to dig deep inside yourself and take immediate action, an independent investigation. Could I get 1 minute, please?
Yeah.
Thank you. Independent investigation is a mandate. It's a must. That is where we start. And part of it is these allegations. And most allegations in Berkeley, you know, we don't know if they're true, but I think some of these allegations are very true. Job responsibilities taken away from union workers. Now that takes away from the soul of union and labor rights activists. Threatening workers for blowing the whistle. I mean, are you serious? This is Berkeley. That's what we're about. And falsifying information in an attempt to comply with the California Public Records request. I mean, please. That is unacceptable. And so once again, you know, our community's here galvanized. Right now, in front of you, requesting, demanding a remedy from retaliation of workers, from just deleting these books, don't even know where they are.
No.
Please do something. Thank you.
Carol Estevez, Sarah Van Young, Julie Silver, Stephanie Thomas.
I already yielded to someone.
Steve, I yielded also.
S.S. Hughes, Margaret Wilkinson.
So I'm a long-term resident of Berkeley. And I like a lot of weird books. I want them to be in my library. I think it is the epitome of arrogance that a small handful of people without any public input can decide what Berkeley reads or not. It's got to stop.
Margaret Goodman. Marge Sussman.
She will yield her time to a staff member. She had to leave.
Wilson, you've already been called.
Yeah, I yield my time to go.
Just go.
But you called my name first, so just so you know, Lisa. My time.
Hi, my name is Lisa Hessel-Gesser, and I'm a steward here at the library. I contacted our chapter when the whole library staff received an email about civility in the workplace, and where all of us were given the onus of all the negativity in the workplace. And I found that really offensive, considering all the top-down decisions that have been handed down to us without any consideration to our job duties or responsibilities or workloads. So I got the chapter to write a letter to Jeff Scott, and it reads like this. Dear Mr. Scott, as you know, there has been considerable public controversy over recent decisions to weed substantial portions of the Berkeley Public Library's collection. Not only longtime librarians and members of SEIU Local 1021, but longtime patrons of the library and other members of the public have been concerned about this recent trend. Because this is an issue of public concern, public employees have a constitutional right to speak publicly on this issue and help to inform the Board of Library Trustees about their concerns. However, recent statements of yours that unspecified consequences may befall employees who exhibit negativity have given many of our members the sense that they will suffer retaliation if they continue to exercise their constitutional rights. Whether or not you intended to shut down library staff critical to the changes you wish to effect, it is important you understand that this is the impact your statement have had on SEIU members. Employees of the library have a right and feel the duty to speak out about library policies and practices they believe lead to waste and harm the reading public. We ask that you be mindful of employee speech rights, and we send this clear message. SEIU Local 1021 will be vigilant in protecting against any retaliation of our members' exercise of their rights. This is signed by Jose Martinez, our field representative. And I wanted to add one other thing. The union finds it disturbing that the staff and the union, who usually have a slot to speak at during these meetings, that slot has been taken away. And we see that as a further shutting down of staff opinion. Thank you.
Okay, I'm Margie Wilkinson, and I just want to speak very briefly about waste. I want to talk about the fact that in the past, books in good condition, which were weeded out, were offered to the Friends of the Library. I donate books to the Friends of the Library all the time because I like the things they do with the money they get from the books they sell. And in this year, that didn't happen. Mr. Scott said it did happen, it was happening at the beginning. Maybe he didn't know. But then the Friends of the Library informed him that it wasn't happening, and it hasn't happened since. That's really unconscionable. The other thing I want to speak about is the fact that one of the last remaining copies of a book that was, I guess now destroyed, was a book by a Marxist historian named Philip Foner called Women in the American Labor Movement, or in the U.S. Labor Movement. It is a crime that the Berkeley Public Library does not have that book. It was published many years ago. It's a seminal work. It should be in our library. It should be available for anyone who wants to read it.
Hello, I'm Margaret Goodman. I live in Berkeley. I'm a taxpayer. And I wanted to say, I think that Mr. Scott has shown that he cannot get a bead on the community of Berkeley. What we stand for, what we need breadth, we need depth. We have a lot of educated people who will read the non-popular books, and we need to keep them. Also, I know that it can be unwieldy when running a big system. One person cannot know it all. I depend on the staff that has been there, has institutional memory, experience, they know their subjects. These are valuable gold standard services that we need to utilize. I would like to see him develop a collegiate environment where the entire staff is participating in ideas for running programs and running the library and expanding services, not just be a top-down kind of thing.
Right.
Dina Borkstein, Francie Kendall, Marilyn Simon, Lois Ewan, and John Van Eyck.
Okay. Hi, I'm Dina Borkstein. I'm a homeowner in Berkeley. I think everybody here can agree with me. We love our librarians. We love our libraries. We love our books. And it's hard to be in the presence of someone who kind of is giving off an aura of arrogance and hubris, and to hear the pain in the voices of our librarians who work so hard for us. A small detail I'd like to mention, and that is for senior citizens. We are getting an older population. We're not getting younger. So when I read that they're they're scrunching the number of when large print books are going to be deleted from the library sooner rather than later, I'm wondering, you know, they don't read, you know, who's reading the statistics here? I'm thinking about the fact that a lot of people who are older want to read older books. They don't necessarily want to read yesterday's bestseller. Right. So anyway, we come to look at this problem and to address it for us. Thank you.
Francie Kendall?
I ceded my time.
Marilyn Simon?
I ceded mine also.
Lois Ewan?
I'm a native Berkeleyan, and my family has been paying taxes in Berkeley for over 50 years. I thank the library board for your time. You know, Berkeley is a home of the world's #1 public university. We're probably one of the most intellectual communities and culturally diverse communities in the world. And here we have one solitary outsider from some toxic branch of library science, which has also decimated the Alameda County Library. So he's not alone in his attitudes, and I would strongly advise the library board to be sure that he needs to go. He clearly does not fit in with Berkeley, and that whoever you hire to replace him needs to not come from this toxic branch of anti-intellectual library science that wants to destroy the last copy of books. And every library destroys their last copy thinking people can get it from interlibrary loan. That's useless. If you need it now, that's useless.
John Van Eyck? Toby Weeby, Andrea Malarkey, Cecil Pineda, Roya Areste, and Anne Marie Miller.
Toby Weeby, that's she gave her.
I see my time to letter kid.
Who are you?
I'm Anne Marie Miller, and I see my time to letter kid.
Toby left.
Hi, I'm Andrea Malarkey. I'm a teen librarian at the Berkeley Public Library South Branch. You usually
Thank you. It is a dreamy job. You usually hear from me during the union and staff concerns portion of the agenda, and I will just echo what Lisa said earlier, that it is really troubling to me that on this night when I came to talk to you about staff voices being squelched, we do not have a voice at your meeting either. Frankly, my main concerns about what's been happening with the director's performance is that staff don't have an opportunity to be heard in a meaningful way about issues that are really important to them and that they're passionate about. We've heard a lot about collection development, and Rachel McNeely is the first person who canceled meetings and never finished discussion. I think it's important that that be noted. And then to note that Jeff never went back and made good on those promises that we would be talked with about these issues. Frankly, it's not the only issue that's happened around, but it's the one that's the most obvious. I'll leave it there. I'm happy to share more examples if you'd like them. But it's important for you to know that we want more than anything, what I want more than anything, is to be heard. Thank you. I want staff voices to be heard. The gentleman in the blue shirt ceded his time to me. Thank you. Frankly, this library means a lot to a lot of us. I don't know how many of you realize, but this is my childhood storytime library. I've been coming here longer than Jeff has been alive. This is not a casual issue for me. It's not a casual issue for any of the staff you heard from tonight. We represent centuries of experience. We bring an understanding of this community, of this library, of this collection of our patrons that can't be housed in two people, no matter who those people are. And this is a professional issue and a personal issue for us, and I urge you to think very carefully about what you can do to ensure that staff continue to be a part of the decisions that get made at this library for this community. Thank you.
My name is Leonard Pitt. I'm a longtime Berkeley homeowner and taxpayer. I want to thank the trustees for being here. My email I sent to them, maybe they read it. Dear friends, for several years I've been an auction item at library fundraisers, as well as having sat at fundraising tables as a local author. With this awkward and frankly crude way of handling the book situation, I will seriously reconsider my further participation. Do you mean to tell me there was absolutely no other option than to destroy books? Who is this new library director? Where does he come from? Is he our local chapter of ISIS? I hate to say it, but this is the action of a small-minded bureaucrat. A library is a repository of knowledge for present and future generations, not a magazine stand where items not sold in 7 days are discarded. Why not do something that celebrates books and the library? Here's an idea. If there was no choice at all but to discard, then have a public event. The big Berkeley book giveaway. Get 100 cardboard boxes, fill them pell-mell with discarded books. Number the boxes 1 to 100. Hand out 100 tickets numbered, guess what? 1 to 100. In front of the assembled crowd, numbers are called out. People run up to claim their box, pull out a book at random, and read the title to the audience. Laughter and hilarity ensue. Make a fun event. Too much work for the staff? Get volunteers. Not a perfect idea? Then make it better. But be creative. Imagination, not decimation.
Thank you for being here. My name is Cecile Pineda. I'm a Berkeley author. I've written and published books of fiction and nonfiction. I want to talk here about respect. This has to do with respect for personnel, but equally respect for books. I have seen images of the books that were discarded in the back room. I can tell you that they were magnificent volumes. They are books that anybody holding in your hand would find incredibly precious. This is our heritage. This is our commons. We are being shorn of our commons. Thank you.
already seated by hand.
You've just been.
I gave it to you. Oh.
Yes. And then I'm gonna call out some more names. Jordan Roth.
So, did you see your time? Yes. I was called. Give me my time.
I'm talking about collection maintenance. For years, the Berkeley Public Library prided itself on its excellent condition of its collection. In the spirit of reduce, recycle, and reuse, the Central Library, the Art and Music Department, the Children's Services, and many of the library branches have had comprehensive mending policies. The library materials need repair because they are well used. With simple mends, the items can be returned to circulation in a relatively short time. This is efficient and economical. Materials that are beyond repair can be assessed for replacement or deletion. The mending stations in Central Children's, the Art and Music Department, have been dismantled, and the processing and mending section of the technical services has been reduced. Library materials that may have been mended in the past are now being circulated in damaged condition or thrown away. This new approach to collection maintenance has contributed to the deterioration and loss of important library materials. We would like to see the current policy changed to allow for more mending and careful evaluation of library materials.
Way that this lady, the baby can speak, so that she
What's your name?
Nicole Caroline. I filled out a card.
Okay.
Thank you. Do you want some?
Hi, I'm an Arab American and I really care about Arab American books. I care about books in Arabic. Were they purged because very few people read books in Arabic? How can I educate my daughter and read children's books to her in Arabic if they were thrown away? When I was doing my PhD dissertation on Arab American women's history, I found books about Arab American suffragettes, one copy in one library in Wisconsin, one copy in one library in Louisiana, one copy in one library in New York, all different books. If they just cared about how often they were circulated, they would have been in a dumpster. This is really important history, and if you just dump a book just because someone hasn't checked it out in a few years, doesn't mean that it's not a valuable book. It's important. Maybe 100 years from now, someone will say, this is a really crucial book, but could he read this book in Arabic? Does he know what the book even says? How often has that book been in circulation? Has nothing to do whether it belongs in a dumpster. So that's part of the reason when someone says, you know, it's racist to just purge books based on circulation. That's what they mean. Thank you very much.
Steve Kessler, Noreen Nomura, Vicky Kasana, and Andrea Siegel.
Thank you, trustees, for making this time available, because I've learned so much just from listening to the various librarians as well as from the public. I think you've got a tremendous amount of power to somehow resurrect what has been lost. I mean, really, our library is really part of the soul of Berkeley. And I think it hurts all of us to know that day after day, even after we had called to the public and to the staff as well as to the trustees, that we were losing books at a tremendous rate. Not because of floods or anything, but by deliberate human action. I don't understand this. With some of the titles that have been given of books that have been weeded, there's one aspect is of censorship. And with Berkeley particularly, I think that books that are really borrowed, but are part of the collection, really essential to keep. You have a tremendous amount of power. We need to have the bleeding of these books stop right now. Please do everything you can to make sure that that happens.
Hi, my name is Steve Kessler. I want to mention that
Today, or this month, has been 43 years since I moved to Berkeley. I was then a young 24, and a few years later got a job with the city of Berkeley as a CETA worker. And we could use something like that now. We could also use a reduction in the work week so more people have the chance to go to the library and to read books and take classes. And that's only going to happen if we have that larger picture that we can't afford to have 143 countries with U.S. troops in them and over 900 military bases. So the larger picture has both its local and its very specific things. I was in the library and talked to a custodian, and the places are filthy. And he said, we need another full-time custodian just for the 5 libraries. Now that takes it out of the hands of the library, and that takes it... Thank you.
Maureen?
Hi, my name is Noreen Nomura, and I'm a retired Berkeley Public Library employee. And what I'd like to say is that when I heard there was a new director and I read some articles about him, I thought, oh great, listen to what he says. So this is from the Daily Californian, October 19, 2014. And quoting Jeff Scott, Berkeley is such a historic community, and that's something I've always been excited about. And as a director, I want to be aware of the community's priorities and adjust to its needs is crucial. And then, the Constitution Times on December 3rd, 2014, a common theme I hear is Berkeley is unique in its collections, such as the art and music collection and local history. I want to honor that. So, anyway, what happened? So anyway, another quote from the Constitution Times. People are always surprised to see what a library can do to help meet community goals. Scott said that he will then share the information with library workers and let the staff come up with ideas about where we should go next and how we should manage our resources and focus on the key issues. I'm thinking, okay, what happened? What happened? You know, these promises were not carried out at all. So, I have more time. Okay, another thing I have a big gripe about is that I feel like this weeding and sort of the lack of communication or cooperation or trying to cooperate with the staff members is like just a big slap in the face to all the Berkeley people, citizens who have year after year after year have loyally paid taxes to support the library. And I feel like it's a big, big insult, and I can't believe it. It's outrage. Good evening, trustees and everyone here. I'm Andrea Siegel, retired reference and collection development librarian for 33 years and past chapter president of Berkeley SEIU. These are my concerns regarding Library Director Jeff Scott's actions. Mr. Scott has lied to the public about the numbers of books withdrawn. He has lied about offering the discarded books to the Friends. He is not telling the truth about the process used for selecting and weeding titles. He has been uncompromising with librarians who have years of experience and valid concerns. He has caused irreparable damage to the library's collection. He is trying to pit one librarian against another rather than encouraging staff collaboration. He has belittled his staff's qualifications to local and national media. He has told his staff they are untrustworthy because they let the public know what's going on. This is not the right type of leadership for the Berkeley Public Library. Thank you for your time.
Genevieve Wilson, Julie Murphy, Tanya Grove.
I cede my time.
I cede my time.
I cede my time to Roy.
Wait, Roy has ceded her time already.
Now been setting back.
So how many of you, and what were your names?
Let's see back.
She's speaking for other people.
No, she's.
These other people aren't gonna speak, she can speak for them. They want her to speak for them. So let her speak.
Okay. I'm Genevieve Wilson. I chair the steering committee for the Berkeley Homeless Task Force. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I feel torn. I feel sad and torn listening to public comment. I feel I share the community's concerns as they've been voiced. I also would like to provide a slightly different perspective or an additional perspective in addition to what's been voiced. I know that Berkeley has some unique strengths of the community, and those have been expressed very well tonight, and I'm grateful for that. I also think that Jeff Scott has some very unique strengths as an individual, and amongst those is his concern for the homeless. He polled the community when he came in, found homelessness was a key issue, and chose to focus on it, and bless a homeless task force here at the library. He has written a grant for the Yay shelter because he found that the library itself didn't qualify for that money. So he came to me and he said, who else could qualify? Yay is grateful for that, so is Youth Spirit Artworks. So I guess what I want to say is, I hope that there can be a way through this, and that collegiality and collaboration can be attained. Thank you.
Hire him at the task force.
It's volunteer.
Tanya, have you seated your
I seated Debbie.
Please, continue.
Julie Murphy seated?
I seated earlier.
Mike Eichenholz?
I seated mine too.
And June Stoddard?
Yeah.
Rosemary Hardy?
I see my time with staff.
I'm June Stoddard, and I'm very distressed over the destruction of books. The large-scale destruction of books has been recognized as a high crime since the Dark Ages. It's a crime against our kids and their kids on into the future. Not to mention us as citizens. A country's cultural heritage is a sacred trust to be held in care and passed on to future generations, whole and intact, for their future evaluation and development and evolution. It's their inheritance. Its care is a patriotic duty, owed to the city, owed to the nation, owed to the world. I echo what the person said who said this is not that different from ISIS. We see ISIS with sledgehammers knocking down old, cherished statues, the cultural heritage of other countries, and we know that is so wrong. We didn't expect to see that here in Berkeley. It's incredibly distressing. I call for resignation.
Rob Wren, Sally Nelson, Joan Sextro, and David Shekeras. I may be saying that wrong.
Eric, I seated my time.
I seated my time already. Who was that? Say your name, please. Sally Nelson. And who else?
David.
I'm sorry.
David.
Thank you.
I have been a Berkeley Library card holder and homeowner since 1985. I have voted for all the library bonds and taxes since then because I believe in a robust, publicly supported library system. For many reasons already articulated, the current meeting process must be stopped and reevaluated by the library board, management, staff, and the community. It's time to seriously consider the firing of the library director, who has clearly lied to the board and to the public in denying the extent to which the permanent collection has been weeded since he arrived. He clearly does not understand, nor did he take the time to get to know the community which he was hired to serve. Without this step taken, the rebuilding of trust between the various communities of interest surrounding the library will be far more difficult.
Hi, my name is Rob Wren. I'm a library user. A few things about Mr. Scott's performance. I first sort of started paying attention to this when I read something in Berkeley Side on August 4th. I was very troubled by the fact that Mr. Scott's way of referring to the librarians who were raising concerns was to say that they were making false claims, and then he used the word disinformation. That's how he was quoted. Disinformation means intentionally putting out inaccurate information. I get very troubled when any head of any city department characterizes people who are critical by using words like that. I also think that Mr. Scott is clearly not on top of the situation. A full month after the initial protests on this issue, he was still putting out inaccurate information. If I were the library director, I would go out and I would ask the people under me, well, what's going on? What books have been removed? I would want to see a list. And my final point is, we need transparency, and I don't understand why there isn't today on the Berkeley Public Library site a list of all the books that have been removed and the reason for their removal.
My name is Joan Sextro. I came to Berkeley 48 years ago. I value the Berkeley Library, both as a professional musician, a teacher, and a parent. I opened the Berkeley Voice one morning and saw a photograph of a whole bunch of opera librettos that had been pulped. And I felt like I was kicked in the stomach. The music and art section of the library was vital to my professional development. I could not have purchased an opera score for less than $100, and I didn't have 10. To be able to access that material for free was vital to my professional growth. I do not see any transparency or cooperation from the folks in charge, both with the staff and the public. I wrote a letter and I got a form letter back, and that just did not sit well with me, so it got my dander up. You all have a very important job to do here, and I hope you take into consideration the very concerned information that people have given you tonight. Dorothea Dorans, Ron Heelan, Margot Smith, Marcia Feinland, and Brian L.
Hi, I'm Dorothea Durens. I'm a resident of Berkeley and a taxpayer since 1985, a resident since '77. I use the library a lot, and I want to know from the Board of Trustees how it is that you vet the hiring of a director, because your responsibility is huge. And we have a director who doesn't respect books, obviously, who wants single-handedly, along with McNeely, to change the function of the library in our lives. And this is huge, a huge sea change. FDR said to us many years ago, don't let a small group of people decide what you should and shouldn't be reading. So I hope we will listen to him. A democracy needs a library for the people, a university of the people, and that's what our public library is, the university of the people. So please do your jobs. I think there should be an immediate moratorium placed on the weeding of the books. And you guys are the ones who have to oversee it. And then you have to check to see if it's really being done, because we have been told that it's being done, and it kept going. Thank you.
Margot Smith?
She left.
Marcia Feinland?
Good evening, board members and fellow Berkeley residents. I came here because I was really concerned. I read about the culling of the books. But what really strikes me listening to everybody is the voices of the librarians and the people. And I wanted to address the evaluation process. When I was on the Berkeley Rent Board, I was in charge of evaluating the executive director, and I did something no one had ever done, which was speak to the employees. I hope that when you develop a process for evaluating your executive director, that you actually put some staff members either into the process or make sure there is a real interview process for interviewing the employees and maybe members of the public in order to do this evaluation. Thank you.
Karen Silman.
I ceded to Debbie Carton.
Jordan Rothstein. Ed Strees. Francie Kendall.
I ceded my time.
Marilyn Simons.
I ceded my time.
I want to go check a few names here to make sure. Carol Estevez.
She's gone.
Julie Silver.
We already went through those people.
I just wanted to make sure that I didn't leave anybody out. S.S. Hughes, Nancy Gendel, Margot Gibry, Vicky Casana. Okay.
Thank you. My name never got called. And I want to see my time.
But you
I gave their time.
But we added.
No. Okay, no, we heard. It's already, okay, thank you. So thank you all for the public comment.
Thank you.
We are now going. We now, will. Oh, is there one more? Yeah, they all left. Yeah, they've all left. Or
No, they haven't.
Or they.
Not one of them.
He's one.
Oh,
Oh, I'm sorry.
there were like 5, you were not sliding, right?
Come on up, I'm sorry.
But she was getting us 5 more.
No, she called your name. Come on up.
What's your name? Hi, Hi, I understand that the audiovisual section, that the jazz section has been called down to 1/4 or 1/5 of its size. And this coming in and I understand it's been pulled. This coming in the middle of all the events that are happening around the nation, around Black Lives Mattering, I think is atrocious, especially for a place such as Berkeley.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Lynn. I'm a retired librarian from the Art and Music Department. Wanted to share with you an email one of my ex-colleagues from Art and Music, Teresa Albro, wrote to Jeff Scott, describing the atmosphere of the workplace. Teresa says, a healthy workplace is very important to all of us. Not too long ago, the working environment at the Berkeley Public Library was one of congeniality and teamwork. I felt as if we were considered valued employees, an important part in the delivery of excellent service to our community. Things seem to be different now. I feel that there is a great deal of negativity in this workplace, and much of this seems to be coming from the top down. There appear to be major changes taking place with little or no consideration of how these changes will affect both staff and patrons. I feel that we are not being included in decisions that affect how we do our jobs. It is not uncommon to accidentally discover some modification within the system that was implemented without our knowledge. She gives an example. Thank you.
Thank you all for your comments, and we will now adjourn to our closed session.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.